Hi, this is Elizabeth with Felted Sky Studio, here with the instructions for our Rainbow Heart Garland needle felting kit. So if you've purchased the kit, there are just a few more things you'll want to have ready before you get started. The most important is a foam mat for needle felting. So you just want to make sure that the mat that you have is dense enough foam and thick enough that your needle is not going to poke through it while you're working. It would also be good to have a scissors for the very end of the project to cut off the extra string. And for when we're stringing, if you want evenly spaced hearts, you'll want to have some kind of a measuring tape or a ruler. And then the last thing would be to have some kind of a rubber glove, just in case you can't get the string to pull through the hearts. That just helps to grip the needle, makes that part a little easier. Okay, so let me open up the kit and show you what's inside. I just want to point out a few other things. We have lots of fun colors of wool in here. That's one of the really great parts about this kit, is all the colors. And I just want to show you that the needle, the felting needle here, is in a piece of foam board, and that is just for safety's sake. These are very sharp, they definitely hurt when you poke yourself with one. So especially if you have children or pets in the house, just make sure that you're storing your needle back in the foam board when you're not using it, or another place you could put it would be in the side of your foam mat. So sometimes I will stick mine into my mat for safekeeping when I'm not using it. Alright, so I just want to say one more thing, which is about the instruction sheet. So if you are already watching the video, which you are, that's great, and the video is definitely the best way to learn so that you can see exactly what to do. But we do have the instructions for people that like to follow along or use something written. And so each step is numbered, and these other little numbers here by each step are the time stamps. So those coincide with the video, and if you go to that spot on the video, you could easily fast forward or rewind to get back to the parts that you want to see again. So that's just something handy to know, that those timestamp numbers are there on the instruction sheet. Okay, so now I think we're ready to get started. To make a heart from wool batting, what we're going to do is take our piece of batting, and if it's wide like this, I'm going to pull it apart and have the pieces be about as wide as I want the finished heart to be, or a little bit wider. So then what I'm going to do is roll. I like to roll towards me, but you can also roll away. So I'm going to roll one piece like that, and this is not very tight, it's still squishy. And then I'm going to take my other piece and roll in the other direction, making this just a little bit tighter so that it forms a nice square kind of roll. And if you have extra pieces, you can pull those off or tuck them in. So here's what we're going to start with. I'm going to get my mat, and the first thing we're going to do is firstly be very careful of your fingers not to poke them, and we're going to poke in the middle of the top here. So that is the top of the heart, the dent there in the middle. And then to start shaping the bottom, we're going to turn and poking down at kind of an angle. We're going to start shaping the bottom into the point of the heart. So there's one side, and then I'm going to turn it and work this other side down towards the middle. And at this point we're just doing general shaping. You don't want to poke too much yet in any one spot. As we're working the top, you want to be very gentle around these two parts here so that they don't get pushed in too much. So then we'll lose our heart shape. And now we're going to flip it to the other side and see what we've got going on. I can go ahead and work on my top dent again. Can gently shape this top a little bit. I'm poking very gently on these parts. And then I'm going to work on this side again. So the way that you angle the needle is really going to help push the wool in the direction you want it to go. And I kind of just keep turning the heart and working a little bit on one side and then moving to the next. So you can see we've already got a good heart shape started. It just still needs more shaping. So on these sides, I'm going to go ahead and go kind of straight down with the heart sitting on the mat. And again, if we've got a part poking out a little bit, I'm going to angle my needle and it's just going to kind of push the wool into the spot where I want it to go as it's felting. So we push harder and poke longer on the parts that we really want to flatten out and push in here at the bottom. And I'm going to poke less on the top here. I'm going to poke a lot at the center, but poke less on our curved parts at the top so that they stay curved and we keep our heart shape. So don't forget to flip it back to front. You can see I worked that side for a while and now this side needs some more work. So just kind of flipping all over, turning, and continuing to poke. So we want to keep going until we have a really nice shape, but we still want just a little bit of give to the heart. We don't want it to be super hard and super solid for this project because we're going to be inserting our piece of twine through the heart. So if it was super solid and dense, it would be a lot harder to get that through. This is a really nice project if you've never done sculptural needle felting before. These little hearts are nice to practice on because we're doing it all free form, working on sculpting this particular shape. And once you're good at these little hearts, there's all kinds of other things that you can move on to. Again, I'm having to poke a little bit harder down at the point where we've got all that wool compacted and felted down there, but still very gentle up at the top. If we need to flatten out, you can poke quite rigorously and flatten out any parts that you want. You can see I've got a pretty good heart shape. I'm just continuing to poke just to finish up the shaping, have it all nice and smoothed out, get it just the way that I want it to look. So we don't want it super squishy because then it will fuzz up a lot and not hold its shape very well, but we also don't want it super hard and solid. You can see it has a little give, less give at the tip and more give at the top. And this is about finished. Alright, so I'm going to call that one done, and we'll go ahead and get out the rest of our hearts to make the garland. Okay, so once you've got all of your hearts finished, there's all 12 of them, then it's time to string them. So you want to get your string and still keep your felting needle handy and the tapestry needle that we're going to use for stringing. And you may want to have a rubber glove on hand. This is a fairly new rubber glove that's clean. That's just in case the hearts are not wanting to get onto the string. That kind of helps pull them through if you're having trouble getting your fingers to grasp the needle. And also maybe have a measuring tape or ruler on hand, unless you just want to wing it, but I like to space my hearts fairly evenly. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is kind of unwind our string here, make sure we don't have any knots or tangles is a long piece of twine here. Okay, so we're going to find an end here and pull out my measuring tape, and I like to leave about 16 inches on the end here. There's 16. This is just so we make sure we have enough of a tail for hanging it. So I'm just going to put a knot here. It's a regular old knot, and we need to pull all of this through. Alright, so that's where the first heart is going to go. So then we're going to move back to the other end. So all the way back to the other end here. And then we will thread the needle. Hopefully it cooperates here on the video. Sometimes pinching it a little bit helps to get it through there. I got part of it. Okay, there we go. Alright, so I'm going to pull it through a few inches, and then I'm just going to pinch it here so that it can slide through the hearts as easily as possible. Okay, so now we're going to get our first heart. For the rainbow garland here, I like to go in rainbow order with the darkest color first. So, but you can, string it in whatever order that you want. So all we're going to do here is push the needle through. We want it to go through straight and near the top. If it gets too close to the middle of the heart, when they're on the string, they kind of flop and they don't stay upright. So we want to make sure we're putting the string through towards the top of the hearts, and this is the reason I have a glove. Sometimes the needle just pulls right through, and other hearts are a little more difficult, and to give it a good wiggle and a good tug here. And I just find that gives me a little more better grip on the needle to put the glove on. So we're going to slide the heart all the way back to that knot we made. A little tangled up here. Alright. So here we are back at our knot, and you can see this heart is kind of dimpled in there where the string and the needle went through. So we're just going to take our felting needle and just kind of pop it out here. So I'm just taking it, and also if it's gotten a little bit out of shape from us tugging on it, we can take the needle right now and just kind of fix it up a little bit. Sometimes we get a little fuzz on the other side where the string came through. So you can take the felting needle and just kind of fix it a bit at this point. Alright, get my glove back off. Leave it on if you want. So we're going to put another knot on the other side of the heart. Pull all this through. So I just like that for a little bit of a finishing touch there, and it keeps the heart kind of in the spot where we want it on the string. So then what we're going to do is pull out our measuring tape again, and we're going to space the hearts about 7 inches apart. You could space them closer if you want. There's probably not enough string to space them much farther than that. So you could have them at a varied spacing, or I like to put them just kind of consistently around 7 inches. So I had an idea of where that was from my measuring tape, and we're ready for our next heart. Alright, grab our other red here. So we're just trying to go in straight and near the top there. See if I can get this one or not. Put my glove back on. Oh, I even pulled off a little bit of wool. We'll fix that up in just a minute. Okay, so again, we're just going to take the needle and pop out the side that was pushed in. And then on the other side here, you can see we have this fuzzy part here. We're just gonna fix that up. Alright, so any extra little shaping that needs to be done, do that. We'll put the knot on the other side. Okay, so you've seen 2 of them now, and they all go exactly the same. We're measuring 7 inches in between with a knot on each side of the hearts. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video, and you can watch if you want, and we're going to go ahead and just string the rest of them in that same way. Alright, here we go. Okay, so there we have it. All the hearts are strung. We can go ahead and take the needle off. And depending on how much you have left at the end, I'm probably going to cut off a little bit, especially of this part that was the very end. And there we go. So I hope that you like the way that yours turned out and that you had fun making this project. If you want to find our other kits or maybe some supplies to make something else, you can find us at feltedsky.com or Felted Sky on Etsy. So thanks for joining me, and as always, happy felting!